Welcome to Wild at Home, the show where we help you develop a more meaningful connection with the sky, the earth, and with flora and fauna for the benefit of mental and physical health. We recognise that getting outside can work wonders for our well-being, but for some, accessing the outdoors can prove challenging. That's why we want to explore some practical tips and activities that can help you reconnect with your local patch whilst building resilience and a greater sense of purpose.
If you're someone who likes to cook with fresh herbs, you probably wouldn't think twice about heading to the supermarket and buying a pre-chopped packaged set of herbs. But how often do you pop them in the fridge only to find a day or two later they have gone over and they're past their best? Well, thankfully, growing your own herbs can be a fantastic way to combat this waste. And actually, herbs are a great place to start for anyone looking to begin growing their own produce. It could not be simpler in the process, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So I'm here in this corner of my friend's garden, and we're going to be planting our very own herb garden. So they can pop out, they can grab the stuff that they want, and infuse their food with these vast and wonderful flavours. Got little Bobby here, he's going to help me. He likes a little bit of gardening on a sunny day. So what we've got actually is a nice selection of different herbs, and we're just going to pot them all up. Some of them are actually already potted. You can buy these pre-potted and you can keep them outside, or you can even keep them on your windowsills. They're really so simple to look after. So we've got what's already pre-potted. We've got this mint here, which needs a bit of TLC to be honest. We've got this rosemary, which is already pre-potted, and we have got this oregano, which is also already pre-potted. I don't know if you can see, but that's Penny the Westie as well. She's come to help out. So what we are going to actually plant up today is we've got some beautiful chives here, and I love the flowers of chives when they really burst through the nice pinky purple colours. Very attractive looking plant, even if you don't use them actually as a herb. Up next we've got lemon balm. This is quite an unusual find actually, but I love to take the leaves and sort of make an infused tea out of this stuff, and it just smells incredible. So that's your lemon balm. And then we've got some parsley here and some basil, both of which, again, need a little bit of TLC. They've just been left out for a little bit longer than I would have liked. I haven't planted them up yet. And then just up here, we have got a really nice looking thyme, actually. There's all sorts of different variations of thyme, but this stuff just smells incredible. So we're going to be planting these. We're going to pop 4 in here, and we're going to pop 1 in here. I've also just realised I've got sage here as well. So sage is going to go in its own plant. This is not planted. So the best thing to do when you've created or bought the selection of herbs that you want to plant up is basically to arrange it so you can see what you want things to look like before you actually dedicate to putting them in the soil. And we'll look at getting the soil in these guys in a minute. So for example, I'm going to have my sage on its own, and I'm going to have my basil on its own. Hopefully this basil will pull through with a bit of love. Because these guys are quite well known. These guys, as well as the mint, are very well known to sort of burst out and take control of any sort of environment that they're in. Mint especially, it just grows prolifically. So by keeping them in their own containers, it's just going to stop them from overtaking any other plants. But the other guys, what we're going to pop in this nice big tray here is we're going to put the lemon balm. I'm going to couple that with the thyme. I'm going to couple that with this. Oh no, hang on, that's your chives. Then your thyme. Thinking ahead of myself there. And then I think what we'll do is we'll pop the parsley in here as well. And obviously that's quite tight, but it does mean these plants aren't going to grow any bigger, which is nice. It's because this is all we need. We don't need a massive field of chives or lemon balm. This is just about enough for us who are living in this space. So we'll pop the basil in here, which does look a very frail piece of basil. And then what we'll do is we'll put them all on this stand, and we're going to have the tray here. So you kind of want to make sure you're coupling up the different herbs with other herbs that enjoy the same environment. So I'm just popping on the screen now is a list of the herbs that need sort of more sunnier locations and the herbs that need more shadier locations. So it's just worth bearing in mind so you can pop them in the right pots and make sure they've got the best environment in order to survive. But honestly, once these are potted up, all you need to do is pinch them back every so often, and we'll look at that in a minute, and water them every so often, probably once a week or so, depending on where you live, and that's it. You've got herbs for a fairly long time. So let's get started with these trays then.
The first task is simply to fill your planters with either compost, planting soil, or potting mix. Some folk like to add gravel or broken bits of pottery to the bottom of pots to aid drainage, although there's an ongoing debate as to whether or not this actually helps or if it's detrimental to the plants. I must admit though, I still occasionally do this, more out of habit than anything. Once filled, roughly level out the soil and dig a hole, big enough for your plant to sit in. You might need to take out a little bit of soil if you've overfilled them, but that's okay. Then get your chosen herb, take it out of its plastic pot, and gently break up and loosen the roots to allow them to branch out and establish a good foundation once they're settled in the soil. Gently level the soil around the plant, but don't press down too hard. Simply repeat this with all of your other plants, taking the time to appreciate the life that's in your hands and let your mind rest on the task that you're working on. Feel the coolness of the soil, the tangle of the roots, and the delicate leaves beneath your fingers. Relax into the job, breathe and be thankful, committing to look after these plants as you would yourself, and vice versa. For anyone new to this, it might sound a bit odd, but gardening and being close to plants and the earth can be such an incredibly mindful activity, and it's important to make space for the peace that could come in. Make sure to label your plants, especially if you're new to caring for them. You could use the cards that came with them, or make your own out of painted rocks or bits of old plastic bottles. Next up, give your plants a solid drink, making sure to hit the soil and not just the leaves. And you may as well give the rest of your plants a drink at the same time. The next task is to do what we call pinching back, simply to remove the first 2 inches or so of the top of each plant, as this will signal to it to send out new and stronger growth. You'll be doing this naturally when you harvest the leaves, but make sure to keep pinching back occasionally if you're not using it so much. Definitely make the most of the bits you've pinched off and treat yourself to something yummy. Last up, place your pots and planters as required, ideally close to the house so you can keep an eye on them and easily pop out for what you need.
So there you have it, your very own herb garden. Super easy to put together, even easier to maintain. Let us know how you get on in the comments below if you're going to create your very own herb garden. We'd love to hear from you.